Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And I gotta say, not a bad episode of Lucha Underground this week. I don't really know if I would classify it as one of the best of the season because I believe this is episode 9 because episode 11 is supposed to be Aztec Warfare. So yes, I'm staying on top of it, people. I'm staying on top of it. Not a bad episode. I mean, it was really primarily match-driven. We got some cool cinematics that put a smile on my face. But yeah, there wasn't anything, to me, really too heavy or earth-shattering like last week when not only did we get the revelation about the Best of 5 series, but, of course, a Gift of the Gods championship change that subjectively, of course, I really had to change my underoos. So this was more tempered this week, but still a fun outing. Partner, what do you think of this week's episode?
You know, this might sound really, really harsh, but I honestly feel like this might have been the worst episode of Lucha Underground since, like, the first Aztec Warfare.
Really?
Well, it's not, and that's why I said it was going to sound way harsher than it really is. I'm not
Right.
saying that it was a horrible episode by any means. It was, you know, there were definitely entertaining elements to it. I just feel like Lucha Underground is at its best when it's in storytelling mode, and there were very, very few stories to be told in this. If you're a Johnny Scumbag type and you just love watching, as you call it, the lowest people of the totem pole getting shit on, you probably loved this episode just because of what happened to Cortez Castro in this episode, and then the fact that Dario and Joey Ryan were laughing about it in the office.
Yeah.
So there were definitely entertaining elements to this episode. I just feel like we had 3 matches, and none of the 3 matches were really that great. And we only really had, just to kind of compensate for the lack of great matches, you would think, okay, well, we don't have to have amazing matches if we have awesome cinematic segments, but I think we really only had 2, maybe even 1, because I know we had the one in Cueto's office
Right
after the first match, and then we had the Rabbit Tribe vignette.
Right.
And I think that's it. I think that's all we had as far as non-in-ring cinematics, because the only other stuff that we had was like Puma cut a promo. The interaction that we had between Puma and Mill might have been my favorite part of the entire episode, and that was great. Which is why I'm saying, like, just because I think it was one of the worst episodes of Lucha Underground doesn't mean that it was a bad episode of television overall. I just know that they've done a lot more interesting stuff before, and this wasn't the best.
Oh, bro, I mean, I'm hearing you 150%. I'm picking up everything you're saying 150%. I think this episode was evidence of something I've heard the Lady J say on Face Like Feminista. Shout out to her, because I can appreciate her opinions. Throwing that shade.
Without trying to censor them.
Yeah, because censorship is for marks. I don't know what beef I just started, but we'll let that stew. But no, in all seriousness, like, she has...
I highly doubt she even listens to the show, dude.
You're so right. We see you. We see what you listen to. But no, in all seriousness, because she has said in certain episodes, like, I remember one episode that you and I listened to, and she, like, gave an extended commentary of Lucha Underground's the type of universe, more so than I think WWE and anything that they offer, that really does give something to everybody. I think for me, it was just tonight's offerings, especially compared to last week when they gave me a freaking buffet. Like, I've been vocal about, I like Rey. I just don't like that he's caught up in this Chavo stuff that really seems like a hindrance to the bigger part of the universe. And he's really getting in to the mythological parts, and it's kind of like not necessarily a detective story, but it is a story of revenge and leadership and all that stuff. And that's the story I want to focus on. So, I mean, if you were into that Rey Chavo storyline, I feel like tonight was probably a satisfying payoff for everybody. But for me, it really wasn't my cup of tea. But yeah, I mean, this checked all the boxes. What's funny, Ashton, to me, and this is the last point I'm going to say before we get into the really formal review, given what we're getting next week, I actually feel like it would have been better if the episode we're getting next week and the episode we got tonight were switched out. because I feel like this episode would have been a perfect precursor to Aztec Warfare, only because you have to imagine Aztec Warfare 3 is going to be insane. So you'd probably want something a bit calmer and whatever before you really rev it up and just do fucking insane shit. But that's just me. With that said, are there any other preliminary remarks you want to make?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you're not going to hit it out of the park every week, and they basically did hit it out of the park for the last 2 weeks, I think, and now this is just kind of a down week. And even if next week is also a down week, which I kind of have a hard time believing based on some of the stuff that they've got going on for next week, especially the 2 matches that we know are going to happen. They have Aztec Warfare 3 coming up the week after that, so it's going to pick right back up, because if there's one thing that we can pretty much guarantee, it's that Aztec Warfare is going to be insane. After watching the first Aztec Warfare, we agreed that we should have live reacted to it, and then the second Aztec Warfare was my match of the year for a couple months until No Mas unseated it. So Aztec Warfare is the one thing that's the gift that keeps on giving, even if we kind of manage to somehow not have an amazing week next week, which I'm sure we will. But even if they somehow manage to have some kind of a random flop next week, Aztec Warfare is the following week and everything's going to pick right back up. But next week looks freaking amazing.
Yes, it does. Now, one more thing I want to say.
Next week honestly looks almost like a little mini Ultima Lucha card on its own.
Yes, I got the same vibe as you, given what we got announced, and we're going to unpack that here in a few moments. The one last preliminary remark I want to make, because I know traditionally on Lucha Underground TWitWoW, we're normally void of our Heat of the Night segment, and I have no Heats of the Night tonight, but I do have a nitpick, and it's not even on Lucha Underground, it's on El Rey. I don't know what was going on with that screen and screen shit tonight. Happened multiple times, and it really was like, why can't I see this stuff? So
I caught it 3 separate times. So the first time was when the episode was literally just beginning, because a lot of the time they'll do that screen and screen thing with the movie that preceded Lucha Underground, the credits rolling on the bottom half, and then the top half will be like the El Rey original series, and then the Lucha Underground logo with the epic sound. And then the bottom will kind of go away as the credits finish rolling, and we'll get into full Lucha Underground mode. But this time I noticed that there was like a weird thing going on where I didn't have any sound, and both the top half and the bottom half of the screen were both showing Lucha Underground, and they were synced up perfectly, and they were showing the same thing, but it lasted for like the first 2 or so minutes of the entire show. Like, it wasn't just like the precursor, like the entire last time on Lucha Underground played in like the double half and half screen promo or viewing thing, and the very, very beginning of the show with Cueto's Dial of Doom. So that was kind of weird and botchy. And then I noticed it happened another time in Cueto's office with the whole Joey Ryan, Son of Havoc Mascarita thing. And then it happened again during Paul London's Rabbit Tribe vignette.
Right. And that's what was really unnerving. It's like, come on, these vignettes, like we get a little bit more each time. So I was hoping it would go away before, we got anything significant. And it did.
No, that's not on Lucha Underground. That's on the El Rey Network.
Yeah, that's on the El Rey Network. That's why I even specified when I said I do have a nitpick, but it's not even on the Lucha Underground.
And it's ridiculous because I was just praising the El Rey Network because they played Daybreakers before Lucha Underground, and that's just an amazing combination.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to air that. But now, with that all addressed, let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And to my cohort and commentary's point here, we started with Dario's Dial of Doom. And it lands on Dario's choice. I would just like to say, as a quick aside, I love how that wheel just barely misses Johnny Mundo every single time. Because had it gone over Dario's choice, he would have been selected. So I don't know if that's still going to be a thing, even with our present circumstances, but I just had to chuckle myself with that. But it was Dario's choice.
I find it kind of odd that Mundo is even on the dial now that he has the Gift of the Gods.
Well, I mean, I still think it's going to be an interesting season for him as far as the world title picture goes. How interesting is anybody's guess? But I do agree. Like, I would have felt like after that victory, we would have gotten maybe another Dario's choice or another random luchador. But no, he's still on there. Maybe because Dario has so little faith in him. He's like, I'll throw him this bone anyway. So we get Dario's choice. And Dario says, since it's my choice, I'm going to pick a guy that I see come to work, every week. and rehabbing, his injury. And lo and behold, it's Cortez Castro. I'd also like to point out my partner here has been incredibly on point with his Dial of Doom guesses as of late. It's getting kind of scary, I'm not going to lie.
Hey, man, I even said in live reactions, it's kind of spoilery when you have the pre-roll with the last time on Lucha Underground stuff, and you show stuff that we know is going to happen, like they showed Son of Havoc and Mascarita and Famous B and Dr. Wagner, and then they showed Rey and Chavo, and then for seemingly no reason at all, they showed the whole Cortez Castro thing with him getting his arm broken by Pentagon, and it's like, oh, well, what does he have to do on this show? And so knowing that he wasn't, actually advertised for anything on the show, my first conclusion is, well, is he on the Dial of Doom? And if not, it'll be Dario's choice and he'll be the choice, which makes sense because Dario hates his face.
Yeah, he does. And man, Dario hating people's faces is just amazing. So he calls on Cortez Castro. Man, I didn't think I could feel any giddier than I did last week. And I don't, but I'm still feeling pretty damn giddy because Cortez Castro comes out looking all pathetic with his arm in a cast. He's got a kendo stick looking like he's going to do something, but even he knows. He knows
when he gets to the bottom of the stairs, he just throws the kendo stick away. Like, if you had a chance, that was it.
Yeah, he threw his future away. The same way he threw his life away the moment Joey Ryan ratted him out and protected himself. So, yeah, Cortez Castro, he gets in the ring. And, I mean, this match, though, I will say, I will give Lucha Underground credit for this because anywhere else you'd think, oh, this would be a 2-minute squash. And I wouldn't even hold it against those places because, hello, you're fighting with only one good arm. And, I mean, the cast is visible. But they actually managed to put on a decent match here. I mean, I thought the psychology was good. Matanza blatantly picking apart the arm. And even Castro, to his credit, and this is probably going to be the only sincere thing I say in his direction, did show some ingenuity in this match by utilizing the cast once it was ripped off of him as a weapon against Matanza. I mean, I'll give...
though, that it takes the monster that you're trying to take down, literally breaking the cast off your arm to give you an appropriate weapon to beat him with.
Yeah, I love it. The only reason you're on offense is because I'm allowing it, which wouldn't even be wrong.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying, though, is like, when did Cortez Castro have the biggest advantage in this match? When he was beating Matanza with the cast. What did he throw away right before he got in the ring? A freaking weapon that he could have used to beat Matanza with.
Exactly.
What a moron.
Yeah, and you're a freaking cop? I mean, Jesus.
Undercover, more like underdumber.
Oh, look at this mother fure right here.
I can walk away.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, Matanza didn't walk away. He uppercutted Castro's ass, and then he hit Wrath of the Gods. And then, partner, because I know you love this.
I love the uppercut as a setup to Wrath of the Gods, though. That's pretty sick.
Oh my god, dude, I love it because it's just a blatant show off of Matanza's athleticism. Like, oh, I could do this stereotypical power move like a power bomb or a choke slam. No, I'm gonna freaking
or I could do
like
a Cesaro-esque diving, twisting, spinning European uppercut from hell.
Exactly. Why? Because Matanza is simply better than you. And then he gets...
When you said why, I thought you were just going to be like, because he can.
Or maybe people were expecting, because he's a god, damn it! But no, not yet. But yeah, Wrath of the Gods. And then I know you love this end bit, partner. What exactly did Cueto impart to Castro at the end?
Oh, it was great. He went up to him. He was like, I hope you have a good recovery undercovers, you stinking rat.
I really wish after that Cueto just would have given Castro a swift kick to the arm, because when you're pathetic,
I really wanted him to kick him right in the ribs.
Yeah, right in the ribs, right in the arm, because when you're pathetic, everyone needs to let you know that you're pathetic. And that's why I'm going to do what Cueto couldn't do. Castro, you're pathetic. You're a disgrace to your profession. Try harder next time, and maybe actually go in with 2 functioning arms. Unlike
I was going to say, maybe just don't try at all.
Or maybe just don't try at all, because you did try with 1 broken arm, and you know what that makes you? A mark. So that's my analysis of the situation.
I mean, what did you expect him to do when Dario picked him?
Maybe lie down and get pinned. Maybe not be stupid and get your pants ripped off.
I don't think Matanza would have allowed that because his ego drives him to win with Wrath of the Gods in every match.
Well, then maybe spread your one good arm out, because God knows you can't do shit with the other arm, and just let him just hit Wrath of the Gods on you, and let that be it. Like, why
I feel like even if he would have done that, Matanza would have like looked at him and then like tilted his head a little bit like he was confused, and then grabbed the arm and broke it back open anyway.
I mean, granted, like the only good thing to come out of Castro actually trying, it felt so good to just lean down, my cheeks high in the air as I just shit on everything he tried to do, which I feel like I've done multiple times now, and it just feels even better with each successive shit. But, you know, Castro, I mean, when are you going to learn? Because right now, you're really looking like a special kind of stupid right now, son, and I don't know what to tell you. Because, I mean, you're a cop. And if I was trusting you with a case of mine and I saw that shit, man, I would switch people so fast. But thankfully, Captain Vasquez is in charge of your fate, not me. So maybe you're good on that. But yeah, Matanza wins.
Yeah, clearly you would prefer to have Officer Meehan on the case with his freaking sellout ass.
I will tell you something about Meehan. He is the type of guy that like turns off body cams when he knows an altercation doesn't make him look good. And in the real world, that would make me sick, as anybody who knows me knows that to be true. But in the Lucha Underground universe, when I know that there are much greater prizes for being a piece of shit, I mean, see Johnny Mundo last week, I'm proud of Joey Ryan. I am proud of Officer Meehan, because I'd say he's a credit to the Force, but he's really what I already believe the Force to be. So, you know, he's just being himself, man. That works out for me. Castro, I don't know where he got this hero idealism from, but that's what it gets you. A steaming pile of shit. Know your place next time, punk.
And a worsened arm.
Exactly. Oh, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Officer Meehan, though, because up next, he is actually in Dario's office just laughing his ass off, yucking it up because of what just happened to Cortez.
I think I'm going to tell Cortez that all three of us, me, Officer Meehan, and Cueto, were all laughing at him pretty much simultaneously. This was great. You know? Nothing like a good corrupt cop on TV, and Officer Meehan definitely fills that role. I don't really think they say anything pertinent here, do they? They're just kind of yucking it up, having a good time. Because I know we get
pretty much. I don't think they actually said anything at all, did they?
I don't think they did either. So then, did we segue into Son of Havoc interrupting with Mascarita?
Yeah, Son of Havoc and Mascarita both show up, and it's not for bagel bites, it's for a match. And Mascarita Sagrada wants a one-on-one match with Famous B. So Dario says, you know what? You'll get your match with Famous B, but the stipulation will be determined by whoever wins tonight's match between Son of Havoc and Dr. Wagner Jr.
Yeah, you know, and I really, really like that. By the way, quick aside, I think bagel bites are taking over the world. Because you and I saw them advertised on that one Lucha Underground episode, and then on my family day on Tuesday, we watched 2 different shows that had Bagel Bites references. So, like,
are you serious? What shows?
Yeah. How to Get Away with Murder, an episode of that, they were serving Bagel Bites at a sleepover because they were afraid somebody was going to bring into their house and kill them. Yeah, really crazy show. Definitely a perfect putter show.
So did someone?
No. And you know what, though? I would have. For those bagel bites, I mean, I definitely would have. So I don't know what that killer was thinking. But the other show was Real World Bad Blood, the latest season, which has been amazing. The first Real World season I've ever actively watched that wasn't like the challenge with the family. And that's been really good. And yeah, they were having a plate of bagel bites. And I'm like, oh my God. Bagel Bites has entered the public consciousness. It is taking over the world.
Bagel Bites is actually like actively advertising its own product for the first time in like 2 decades.
I know, and it's succeeding apparently, which is really the interesting part. But
it's reaching your ass.
Definitely. But on a more serious note, I want to echo the sentiments that you and I expressed in live reactions. I love that Dario Cueto has this kind of mentality to business because, I mean, let's not make any mistake. Dario Cueto is, for all intents and purposes, a Rudo in this universe. But, and this is the one line I said to you that I want to repeat here, he's never a caricature to me. Yes, he will do things to his own benefit. I mean, the preceding segment seems to confirm that. But he's also, more often than not, quite equitable when he doesn't hate anybody. It's not, oh, I'm going to align with all the Rudos and fuck all the Technicos. No, it's just anybody that he in particular has a beef with. He's going to square away that beef because not only is he an authority figure, but he's a man with his own material interests that he wants to protect, which is understandable. I think that makes him more human and a more compelling character. But when he doesn't have a beef with you and he's just, you know, organizing the soldiers, organizing his workforce, he's very equitable, very egalitarian in his approach, and that exhibited itself here. And I think that's something that needs to be praised more because I don't think authority figures are like that enough. And he's just such a breath of fresh air, and he's still one of my favorite characters in the Lucha Underground universe. And yeah, I really enjoyed this cinematic.
Yeah, absolutely. So this whole thing was just, you know, I gotta tell you, John, I love the interactions that we're getting with Son of Havoc and Famous B and Dr. Wagner Jr. and Mascarita, but I feel like it's not really going anywhere. That's kind of an issue that I have with this because last time we saw them, it was a tag match. It was Son of Havoc and Mascarita versus Famous B and Dr. Wagner. Now we have just Son of Havoc versus Wagner, and then next week we're getting Mascarita versus Famous B. I'm guessing that's going to be the kind of the payoff, right? Probably.
Right. Yeah, I mean, dude, here's my thing. I'm glad you said something about it because, again, you and I learned our lesson from season 1, not to be too critical until we see everything play out. So this isn't me trying to be too critical. Please understand that. It's just, for me, I think my expectations got subverted a little bit because the way they seemed to clear the path at Ultima Lucha Dos, right? I thought Son of Havoc, maybe not for all 39 episodes, but for a good chunk of the season, was going to go on a redemption arc. Like, oh, you screwed me out of Ultima Lucha Trace. Now I'm going to claw my way back. And then I'm going to be honest, and again, I could be wrong, which is why I'm trying to keep my words very soft and sweet because I'll probably eat them later. In the words of Jerry Lawler, I almost feel like they squashed that already because Son of Havoc was selected on the Dial of Doom. In fact, wasn't he the very first Dial of Doom pick? And Matanza beat him. And then he's been doing this stuff with Famous B ever since, which does have a tie-in again to Ultima Lucha Dos, to Lucha Underground's credit.
Well, and he literally just had a match with Dr. Wagner Jr. tonight, but it didn't seem like he really had that much beef with him beyond just wanting to beat him in the match.
Yeah, he seemed like he wanted to beat him more for Mascarita's sake rather than his own.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I mean, obviously...
Kind of a drop ball because, like, he should probably hate Dr. Wagner based on the result of 4 a unique opportunity tournaments.
Yeah, like, I'm cool with Son of Havoc and Mascarita having a common interest, but I want both of them to exhibit that interest, because right now it seems like it's coming purely from Mascarita, where Son of Havoc's just like, oh, sure, I'll tag along and I'll be your muscle when necessary. Again,
I mean, maybe Son of Havoc is channeling his anger more towards Cueto, but he hasn't really shown that either. Because let's be real, Cueto was the one that screwed him out of. Although I guess he would have been the one giving him the opportunity as well. So I don't really know. Maybe Son of Havoc just doesn't feel anger towards anyone because he just kind of feels like he should have done better.
But see, though, and I can see where you're coming from. But he even tweeted out when it all went down something about revenge. I forget what the tweet was exactly, but it's like, I'm going to get revenge. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, he's pissed. He got screwed. He's such an over-technical. Like, you couldn't pick anybody better to do this with because, I mean, there are a lot of people I love in the Temple, and I've gone to bat, and I know you have too, for Son of Havoc multiple times to be in the main event. And I still think he could get there. I mean, that's the beauty of Lucha Underground. This is episode 9. We have 30 episodes left. By episode 13, Son of Havoc could storm into that office and be like, Dario, I haven't, we haven't really gotten a chance to address this yet, but you're a piece of shit. And here's why. And then he goes on that journey. This just seems like a very weird kind of side arc. Not segue. Really what Son of Havoc was. Yeah, segue. Like, it doesn't seem like what he's really meant to do. And what they have done, like this assemblage of people, has been very entertaining. Like Son of Havoc and Dr. Wagner end up having a really fun match night. In fact, I would say it was match of the night because I enjoyed that more than the main event. I don't know about you.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But I'm looking for Son of Havoc to do what I believe he's meant to do in that Temple, and that's be a main event guy, and that's to be a future Lucha Underground champion. So here's to hoping he gets back on track. But yeah, I mean, this is what we got for the moment. Son of Havoc wins. Mascarita gets to pick the step. Dr. Wagner wins. Famous B gets to pick the step. So yeah, that's what we're left with. Good cinematic.
Absolutely. And then we get what, in my opinion, was the best segment of the night. Prince Puma in the ring says that him beating Mil Muertes in the middle of the ring wasn't enough because Muertes sent Conan to an early grave when he put him in that coffin in season 1. So Puma will not stop until he has done the same to Mil. Challenges Mil to grave consequences, and then pretty much immediately Katrina shows up at the top of the steps in the temple and gladly accepts on behalf of Mil, who then shows up in a suit behind Puma for an attack, and we get kind of a brawl between the two. Mil goes for a flatliner, but Puma fights out of it and then drop kicks Mil out of the ring. Goes to do like a dive, but ends up doing like a springboard backflip into that cool like superhero landing pose that he does. And then as Mil is walking away, disappointed in himself for not getting the jump on Puma, Puma chucks his jacket at him from behind.
All right, bro. I've got quite a bit I want to field your way, and that's because I know you were the one. I mean, I've been really into it too, don't get me wrong, but you're the one that's really given this feud and these two guys high praise when they get in the ring together, especially with matches of this magnitude. I'm going to start with the most, I won't say personal, but probably the most pertinent question right out of the gate. Is next week the last time we're going to see Puma? Because there have been those rumblings with Ricochet going elsewhere. Do you think this is how they're going to write him off? I mean, where's your head at with that?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you know, because there have been those rumors, right, that Ricochet's going to, like, he's going to be finishing up with LU, and I think he even sent out a teaser tweet recently, I think I forget who he tagged, but he said, I'll be seeing you guys soon. And I know you even speculated like they may be using grave consequences to write him off. Do you think that's the case?
I don't know. I think it's possible. I think there's also a possibility that they kind of pull a kind of like what they've done with Mil and Phoenix. Or no, not Phoenix. Phoenix never got put in the coffin, but what they've done with Mil twice now, where Puma loses, gets put in the coffin, and then Vampiro resurrects him.
Right.
Or they could obviously, if Puma could obviously win, and then Katrina is always there to resurrect Mil, and he always comes back stronger, and then I'm sure that would lead to a death match where Mil would kill Puma, and then that would lead to the Vampiro resurrection. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up with Zombie Puma versus a like 4th time resurrected Mil.
and knowing that, because here's the thing that I actually forgot briefly when I posed to you that question, because, you know, I mean, my mind's kind of everywhere when it comes to Puma, which just shows you how high his stock is. We do know in the trailer, Vampiro does kind of that throat grab motion that Puma actually did tonight as a threat to Mil Muertes, like, I'm going to rip your throat out. Well, Vampiro actually does physically seem to start that whole motion in the trailer, and we haven't seen that. So if you're right, I know you kind of said it half jokingly, like, oh, Zombie Puma versus 10-time resurrected Mil Muertes, but if that's the route they go, I mean, does that excite you as a fan of both these guys? How do you feel about that?
I'm really excited to see where this goes. And as far as the rumor that Puma was leaving, the more recent report from, I believe, Meltzer is that Puma is actually going to be staying in New Japan, which also means that he'll be able to stay in Lucha Underground.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's pretty freaking huge if true. At this point, I you know, the speculation kind of got the best of me.
Right.
Kind of earlier this season and for most of last season. So I've actively been trying to kind of avoid, you know, Meltzer, and even, you know, to an even greater degree, the Angry Mark, who was one of the main people that reported that Ricochet would be signing with WWE. He actually said that he'd be signing with WWE in October of this year, which is now past. So obviously he was wrong about that too. He was wrong about Kurt Angle. So I think I'm just I decided a while ago actually that I was done listening to him, and I've been trying to avoid Meltzer stuff as well, although I will look at some of his stuff if he's reporting WWE stuff, because I know he actually has insiders in WWE, whereas for Lucha Underground is pretty much just Conan's bitter old ass trying to,
Right.
fill his head up with bullshit
Right.
reports to try and make Lucha Underground look bad.
Well, I mean, again, like I don't even blame you. I know, it like got to you a little bit, got to me, got to everybody, because Puma really is one of, if not the best performer that Lucha Underground has. Like he is just brilliant, and segments like this continue to illustrate why. Because I know I've asked you a lot of questions. I guess it's time for me to afford my opinion on the segment. I loved it. I love how personal this has gotten. I love too, because here's the thing with WWE that I notice. And oftentimes it's to its detriment. That's why I'm a bit weary about the current AJ Ambrose feud. But I think they'll be fine, because you're talking about two quality workers there. But I with WWE, when you get a feud that seems like it's going to be good, it doesn't take long for WWE to exhaust it, because they're in the ring constantly, or they're having segments constantly. Lucha Underground's done a brilliant job of keeping these two guys apart for so long.
Yeah, I think that's a really kind of praiseworthy thing that Lucha Underground has done, is that these guys really have only interacted once or twice since their Ultima Lucha match at the end of season 1.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's just great to see that, like, when they're this far apart and then they come together. And when they initially came back together, it's like, oh man, we're doing it. Like, you can get excited because, man, it's the Ultima Lucha rematch, and now these two guys are going to get to do it again, and all that stuff. So that's wonderful. And then you get emotion and intensity like this, and it's grave consequences. And I'll be honest, like, this may be the best grave consequences, because I feel like this has the best story going into it. I mean, Phoenix and Mill, it really was because they're two opposite forces. One is life, one is death, and grave consequences seem more like poetry than actual stakes of hatred or anything. Though, believe me, Mill did hate Phoenix, as was evident by that beating. Mill and Matanza, it seemed like Katrina and Cueto just kind of flaunting their monsters and who's the better monster, which is fine. No. But I really love the story in this, because everything connects. At first, Puma couldn't get Mill off his back. Then he beat him, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? So, he finally beat Muertes. But still, though, like, he killed Conan. It's not just the idea he beat me in the ring. He took something from me. He caused emotional injury.
I mean, that being said, I think the greater story here is that Puma seems, even though he says he's not into the idea, he seems really into the idea of doing what Vampiro tells him to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you even mentioned that in live reactions.
I think Puma's really open to the idea of having a mentor in general. Like, he hasn't had a super clean record since Conan's death, and he had an amazing record with Conan, so maybe he just feels like he needs that guidance, and then he kind of is just kind of willing to take it from whomever offers it, and now Vampiro is the one offering it. So even though Puma is like, no, you're a scumbag, I'm not going to listen to you, he still listens to him.
Which, to me, in a way, like, I don't want to get all Freudian on this segment by any means, but it is kind of fascinating, because maybe you think, well, maybe that's because Puma has positive association with mentorship. I mean, keep in mind, when Conan was mentoring him, he became the first ever Lucha Underground champion. So maybe Puma, it's kind of like an inferiority complex, perhaps, in a way. Like, oh, I can't really do anything worthwhile unless I have somebody's, guidance, which is a really fascinating route to take. Because here's another thing, too, that we don't consider, or that I'm considering now, because we're kind of taking this route, which is why I love Lucha Underground in the first place. The beautiful thing about trailers is there's a lot of context that's absent. Maybe whatever Vampiro does to Puma, Puma consented to. Puma allowed it to, willingly. It's like, oh, I need somebody. I need something. Now, that would seem contrary to the Puma character. But, Puma loses a match like this next week, could do some things to the man's psyche. Like, this match has significance because you put my mentor in the ground. Now I'm putting you in the ground. And if Puma fails at that,
I could see it being something along the lines of, like, Puma loses grave consequences, then Vampiro resurrects him, then Puma still continues to push back, like, no, I'm not going to live by your hand. And that's when Vampiro grabs him by the throat, like, boy, I am responsible for you even being alive. You will do what I say.
Exactly. And you have to wonder, too, and I only mention this because I wonder if Lucha Underground's going to mention this. is Pentagon Dark going to factor in any way in this? Because we can't forget we can't forget that Vampiro and Pentagon Dark had a relationship, and Pentagon Dark beat the shit out of him, still glares at him.
Yeah, but I like you, like, we kind of had like a bit of closure to that, though. Like, I feel like Pentagon's beatdown on Vampiro to close Ultima Lucha Dos was the closure. Like, that's the final straw of that relationship, and they're going to be done with each other.
So you don't think, because I mean, this is something that's kind of passed through my mind, you don't think that Vampiro is kind of grooming Puma and may potentially resurrect him like we've talked about, and then down the road, even if not right away, down the road, sick him on Pentagon Dark? You don't see that happening? Because that's a thought that has crossed my mind.
I mean, I guess that's possible. That's definitely possible for Vampiro if he feels like, you know, Pentagon has moved on, but I haven't, the kind of thing. That would make sense.
Right, because here's the thing. Just because Pentagon Dark's moved on doesn't mean that, you know, Vampiro, the actual Vampiro, not Ian Hodgkinson, has been contained. And he may just look, you know, for more darkness to spread through somebody else. And again, like, everything we're talking about and all the layers and possible layers and all this stuff are what make this feud and everything kind of overarching it just so engrossing to me. And quick side note, and this will be the last thing I say about it, Mil Muertes can rock a fucking suit. I mean, I didn't think Death could look that sophisticated, but man, he was beating ass and looking classy doing it. So +5 for Mil pulling off the suit, man. But yeah, great segment here.
Yeah, man, this was a solid freaking segment. I would definitely say my personal segment of the night. And that's about all that happened in it, though. So I think we can move on. Up next is our second match of the night. Famous B announces his client, Dr. Wagner Jr., who will be facing Son of Havoc. And Famous B's introductions are always brilliant.
Oh, yes. I love him. He has really hit his stride as a manager. You said it best on Live Reactions. It's amazing what a long way he's come from the first season. And that right there, just seeing how far Famous B has come, is probably one of, if not the biggest reason I love Lucha Underground. Because I remember saying this early, and I believe our Season 1 reviews, Lucha Underground is the type of place where one season's jobber is next season's main eventer. Like, I just feel like they can turn a character stock on.
I don't know about that much of a 180, but one season's jobber could definitely become a relevant character the following season.
Well, I mean, look, obviously nothing happens overnight. That's not what I meant. But I think, you know, you can turn anything into a prospect with enough elbow grease and thought. And Lucha
Vinny
Underground
Massaro for Lucha Underground World Champion 2017.
Yes, do it. I wholeheartedly second that. But I mean, yeah, you look at Famous B. Ja most of the time had that really great outing in that Medallion Battle Royal, and then he gets repackaged in this, you know, manager gimmick of, oh, I want clientele so I can make them famous, and it works. It freaking works.
4, 2, 3, get fame. And that was another thing. He was talking about all the people that called the number and that they'd never be famous.
Which I loved it, because I love when people can cut promos and drop subtle enough hints of what's coming, but they don't beat you over the head with it, so you can still appreciate what comes after the fact. Because, yeah, the revelations we got after the Son of Havoc Dr. Wagner Jr. match, which was excellent, we'll get more into that in a second, was a perfect tie-in with the promo. So, yeah, Famous B running down everybody, making me feel like shit, because I thought I left a very compelling voicemail. So, fuck you too, then.
You did, John. Your voicemail was compelling. He just wasn't listening to any of them.
Exactly. That's so hurtful, man. I mean, I'm proud of you on one hand for being a dick, but I mean, man, it's me. I'm better than everyone else.
It's okay if you're a dick to anyone but me.
Exactly. But me. So we get
Emma. It's all about me.
God, I missed that Emma already, and I haven't even seen Emelina yet. Oh my God. All right.
But makes me literally sick to my stomach, but we'll see.
Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Son of Havoc, like I said, match of the night for me. I loved it. Thought they told a great story. You know, it's funny, Dr. Wagner Jr. being as old as he is, he could still put on a fun match that leaves me engaged, because, you know, he just fulfills like that whole adage, oh, I may have a lot of age, but with age comes experience, so I can do less, but also do more by doing less. Like, I get more mileage out of what I do than all the flippy shit that you do. And
I've noticed that with Chris Jericho lately too. Like, he'll go to the top rope, but 9 times out of 10, it's for like a double pump sledge.
Exactly.
You
It's
know,
like, come
like he
on.
never does like super risky stuff like, oh, I'm gonna go for a crossbody on a guy that weighs 280 pounds and is definitely gonna catch me.
Exactly. He
It's always
thinks
like
before he acts.
double fist sledges or like missile drop kicks. Like that's all Jericho does off the top rope anymore. And he never like the person never counters it because how do you counter something like that unless you just step out of the way? And I mean Jericho's not taking that bump. Are you crazy?
Exactly. He's like, you want it? You want it? You get a sledge. You stupid idiots. What'd you think was going to happen? Son of Havoc, I liked on his end that whenever he was in control, you could definitely see a changing of the pace. He would dictate the pace, do more aerial stuff. Brenda was hilarious. Here's the thing. Obviously, I don't hear anything that goes on because of our live reaction format and how I like to handle things on my end. But from what people were tweeting quotes from her tonight, and apparently she was screaming encouragement to Dario Cueto Jr. Shave his beard off, and like,
That's amazing.
I can't wait to rewatch this shit with you, dude. Because again, I can only take Brenda in small doses, but these are those doses, and I freaking love it. It's great.
That's so terrible that you say you can only take her in small doses. I think she's amazing. I would love to listen to like an hour-long interview from her.
I think she's an incredible person. I love her interviews and stuff, but I can't do the voice, bro. And like I don't even really like my own voice that much, so I really don't even want her to take it that personally. Maybe it's just a me thing. But yeah, she is a wonderful person though. With what she does with cats, and apparently, I don't know if you saw this, but Taya and Mundo were like posting Instagram pics of a Halloween party they had, and Brenda was there, and it looked fucking amazing. So you know, friendship goals.
I'm curious.
You know, honestly, I forget because I think she took like one photo with Ty, and I couldn't really make out what she was. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like a fun party, and they clearly love her to death, and we all love her to death. It's just with me, I've got my own little quirks. We all do. Sue me. I mean, hey, better her than Cortez Castro because I've really given him a hard time tonight. So, Son of Havoc wins. It's true, man. He sucks so bad. Son of Havoc wins after a shooting star press. And what did you think about the stipulation they decided on? I'll give you the rest here.
Oh, I love it. A Believers Backlash match. The second one that we've ever seen, with the first one being Drago versus Hernandez, who I still really freaking miss from season 1. And now this is going to be a special one because they're not just going to hand out leather straps to everyone in the audience for this match. The audience gets to bring weapons of their choice.
Yes. So good. So good. Again, dude. Perfect. Yeah. I hope. I mean, you can only imagine how crazy the Believers are going to get. So, I mean, we'll see what they bring next week. So, I mean, just to recap what we said at the start of the show, this really is looking like a mini Ultima Lucha because you're getting Grave Consequences and Believers Backlash next week. Holy fuck. And then
yeah, it's a stacked show next week, brother.
Just to remind everybody too, it doesn't even fucking slow down because the week after that is Aztec Warfare, which is why I said at the beginning, I feel like we would have been better if it was like flipped. You get like this adrenaline freaking rush now, then you cool down next week because Aztec Warfare 3, it's going to be full steam ahead, and oh my god, I can't wait. But yeah, Believers Backlash.
And by the way, John, I've been on a quest to find these Taya, Mundo, Brenda Halloween picks, and as is extremely predictable, Brenda was a cat for Halloween.
I wanted to say a cat, but I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth because I'm like, she loves cats, and her Twitter handle is Holly Meowie, for God's sakes. So you'd think cat, but then I would have been like, oh, Ashton, that's obvious. Cat. Oh, sorry, she actually went as a witch. Damn it. So, you know. Oh man,
I'm pretty sure Holly Meowie is her actual legal name.
Are you serious? That's adorable.
I'm looking on IMDb right now, and even IMDb lists her as Holly Meowie.
Damn, what? Yeah, man, that's adorable. That's adorable. But yeah, Believers Backlash should be great. I'm looking forward to it, and honestly, I don't know who should win. I mean, you'd think Believers Backlash favors the Technico because Drago won the first one. But it would be hilarious if Famous B still found a way to overcome all of that and win. Like, and then he'd look at everybody and be like,
you know
"That's
what?
why
I
I didn't
guess
take your calls."
she might have legally changed her name to Holly Meowie because it's saying on IMDb that she was born Holly Michelle King. So I'm
Okay.
guessing she legally changed her name to Holly Meowie, which is
Hey,
even more adorable.
yeah. I mean, look, if people can change their names
She
to
loves cats so much that she literally changed her name to fit it.
Hey, look, if people can change their names to Warrior, I ain't gonna, look down on Holly Meowie whatsoever.
He was a friggin' psychopath, man.
So yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of hoping Famous B does win next week. This way he could look at all the believers that partook in Believers Backlash and say, "That's why I didn't take your calls," and then leave.
That sounds exactly like something that would happen and
I
should
know.
happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Look, there's nothing wrong with being a piece of shit, so long as you're hilarious while doing it. So,
And of course, as long as you're in the entertainment business, because if you're just a piece of shit for being the sake of being a piece of shit, then fuck off.
I mean, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't want to support that negative of a message. So I got nothing else to say.
Yes, a slick Aztec Warfare is gonna be lit.
You're damn right. Do you have anything else?
Old.
We're all old, brother.
I feel
On
like
the
Hillary
inside.
Clinton trying to fit in with teenagers.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on that. I heard some things. So yeah, anything else you want to say about this?
I don't think so. I think we can move on. Up next was our Rabbit Tribe vignette, and Paul London explained how he'd come to the temple, and then two other people showed up, one wearing a checkerboard suit from head to toe, and the other one dressed in all black with a feather mohawk.
Yeah, dude.
And sunglasses. The guy in all black with the feather mohawk had sunglasses too.
First of all, they're trendy as fuck. All right.
That checkerboard dude belongs on a runway.
Yes. Finally, somebody verbalizes what I was thinking. But more sincerely, I'm still stoked for these guys. I'm really starting to become convinced that they are going to debut in Aztec Warfare. I actually liked your idea. Maybe it'll be Paul London that debuts, and these guys just kind of hang around and whatever. But yeah, I think these guys are going to be amazing. Still love your Cold War theory when we had preliminary talks about season 3. Rabbit Tribe is entering the fray. And yeah, I mean, these are the 3 representatives of the Rabbit Tribe, and what a couple of oddities these guys are. So I can't wait. Should be a lot of fun, but nothing more I can say until they get here. So yeah.
Okay. Well then, I think we can move on yet again to our main event of the evening, Rey Mysterio versus Chavo in a loser leaves Lucha match. And God, I'm glad this is the last time we're going to see these guys wrestle in a while.
Yes. I mean, look, not to be a downer, but I have to agree with you. Again, how can I put this? Lucha Underground's made me interested in Rey because they're so good at storytelling. Right. And I want them to get back to the story they want to tell with Rey. I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like Puma was kind of a distraction, but in a good way because it's Prince fucking Puma. But now Chavo's a distraction in the worst possible way because I'm like, okay, you and El Dragon Azteca Jr. were here for a bigger purpose. Let's get to that purpose. And I know Lucha Underground likes its slow burn. And normally 9 times out of 10, I'm for that slow burn. But here it's actually 10 out of 10 here. I want him to kind of pick up the pace. I want to see how Rey is going to handle his business. Chavo Guerrero Sr. being out there was a great bit of unintentional comedy because I'm like, wait a minute, you let Rey talk you into this last week and now you want to act like you have solidarity with Chavo. What the hell is this? And I'll be honest with you, Ashton, not even really going over all the match because there's not really much to tell. The star of this thing to me wasn't even either of the performers. It was freaking Dario Cueto. Because at one point in the match,
you said what I was thinking while I was thinking it.
Perfect. That's what TWitWoW fucking does, people. But at one point, Chavo Guerrero Sr., he brandishes Chavo's skull with a chair. And it's like, oh, at first we're like, wait, why? Was he really in agreement with Rey that much? And then it dawns on me like, oh, clever Guerreros.
How did Marty Elias not know that you shouldn't get a freaking disqualification finish in a loser leaves a lucha match? That's so dumb.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in a Cortez Castro kind of way. It was more like, I thought you were better than this, bro, kind of way. I was disappointed in Marty Elias. Like, you're not Rick Knox, bro. Do better.
I love the subtle Cartman-esque brat.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, seriously, though, you're not Rick Knox. Do better. But then Dario comes.
That's the only word of it. Like, someone comes up to you and they're like, "John, do you have any advice for me?" And you're just like, "Yeah, do better, bruh."
Anybody asks me for advice, I am laughing at you the moment your back meets my face, because that's really all you deserve. Knuckle the hell up and realize that I'm a scumbag.
If you're a scumbag, why are you waiting for them to turn around to laugh at them? You just laugh in their face.
Because that really is the scummy thing to do. Oh, you couldn't even do it to my face because you're playing the field. It's next level heel work of shittiness.
Oh my God.
But no, Cueto comes out, and I love it too, because this whole exchange, if I had to show anybody what Lucha Underground's about, I probably would show them this Dario promo, because he comes out and he says, "Did you just call for a disqualification in my temple?" And the crowd.
In my main event, it was.
In my main event. And knowing how much I love violence and knowing how high the stakes are, he's like, no. Restarted, no DQ. And this is exactly why. If you guys remember a few segments earlier, I said Dario is not only my favorite authority figure, but one of my favorite characters in Lucha Underground, period. Moments like this are exactly why. He doesn't have a vendetta with Rey, and granted, he doesn't have a vendetta with Chavo either, but he's running a business and he loves violence. You're not maximizing the violence if you let Chavo get away with that shit. So he comes out and he sets Marty Elias straight. And in that little promo, I think that was the mission statement of Lucha Underground. We have violence, we finish shit, and that's just what we do. DQ finishes and cop-outs like that, that's WWE shit. You don't get that shit here. Though, granted, I wish they wouldn't have even bothered with the tease to begin with. And really, that's more of a selfish wish rather than an objective critique, because I wanted a closing cinematic this week. But still, like, what we got out of it was a great Dario promo that I think was really embodying what Lucha Underground's about. A few moments later, Rey Mysterio wins to the surprise of, let me do the math, nobody. And yeah, Chavo's out of the temple. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts?
I don't think I have any extra thoughts on this. I feel like the match at first, where the finish was the whole, disqualification thing, that was kind of lame. And then it was kind of just so quick after that Rey took everyone out and won. I mean, of course, Chavo got his shit in with the gory bomb and stuff like that, but really it was just we knew Rey was winning, and I did appreciate that they at least tried to kind of throw a swerve at us with the DQ finish, but it was dumb because it's so uncharacteristic of Lucha Underground to have a DQ finish in the first place. So even that wasn't believable. Like, even when it happened, I was like, there's still time left. It's going to get reversed. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate the attempt, but it wasn't the smartest way to go about trying to swerve us into thinking that Rey was leaving.
Right. And it's funny, too, because I even joked, like, I wonder if they would have Rey leave, but of course he'd reemerge in some other way. But again, like, I'm glad that got shot down, too, because that also reeks of WWE-isms. I mean, look at any John Cena fired storyline ever. And Lucha Underground didn't go that route. I do think Chavo now is going to be committed to his role as an agent, 100%. At best, maybe I could see Chavo lurking around in cinematics and still being kind of an agent of chaos outside the temple potentially, but that's it. And I don't even really know about that. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing about this match. Was it stellar? No. I personally really didn't care for it too much, but it served a purpose. And now that it served that purpose, we can move on to bigger horizons for Rey, for the Lucha Underground mythos, just for everything. So for that, obviously I'm not going to come down too hard on it. Rey wins. Nothing more I can say than that. You have nothing else to say?
Correct.
All right, then let's get on to our next segment. High spots and low shots. You know what? My honorary low shot. Actually, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to go straight low shot. Chavo, you're my low shot. You lost your job, dude, and it's hilarious. I mean, let's look at some of your finer moments. You won Give to the Gods because of Cage. Then you lost it because Cage is so damn dominant. Then you got your arm broken. Then you lost your job. I know you did stuff before that, don't get me wrong, but that's just the stuff that I laughed at you for the most. So, yeah, a great way to send you off. You're fired. I'm happy. Low shot. Who's your low shot?
That was way too easy for you. I feel like, that was kind of a softball.
Hey, man, look, I could have gone many ways because there were so many people I laughed at tonight, but, I mean, Chavo
I guess I'll take the other softball. Wait, what was that?
I just said Chavo was pretty sweet to laugh at tonight, so I had to, so.
Yeah, well, I'll take the other softball, Cortez Castro.
Yeah, not as soft as his arm after that beating Matanza gave it. It's a fucking wet noodle after that.
I was gonna say, do I really need to explain this one? It seems kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I'm gonna have more fun with my high spots. Honorary high spot, Joey Ryan for being the smart cop in the fucking duo.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I thought it was my honorary high spot. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean seriously, he's the smart cop.
You say he's the smart cop, but wouldn't the smart cop not sell anyone out and actually just do their job really well?
No, the smart cop realizes they could be a pig on payroll and get free cocaine and probably a good payoff from the guy that runs a temple and has mythical secrets that could probably kill you. So yeah, I'd say Meehan did the smart fucking thing. So he's my honorary high spot because he's not a complete idiot like Castro. And my actual high spot, I mean, I'm going to take another softball here. I'm going to say Rey Mysterio because he kept his job against all those odds. And now he can move on to do what he was going to do in the first place, and that's avenge the original Dragon Azteca. So
I can dig that. All right. And I'll take for my high spot Prince Puma because he got the match that he asked for. And then even despite an attempt at a distraction with an attack from behind, he still managed to get the upper hand on Mill.
Yeah, absolutely. Puma's a freaking beast. I can't contend that pick at all. With that said, is there anything else you want to say about Lucha Underground?
I think I'm set, man. I think we can close this thing out.
All right, brother. Well, with that said, guys, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes this video gets before we all close out, the better the chance of it being the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. When you're the best, the top is the only place that you belong. So help us make that dream a reality. You guys already know all the stuff to check out, all the media that TWitWoW has because of the amazing backgrounds my cohort and commentary here makes. What you may not know, and I'm getting the jump on it now, submit questions for Q&A. Last Q&A, I think we got 45 questions, so not bad. We do Q&A last Friday of every month, so this month it would be the 25th that you would want to submit questions because that will be Q&A. You need to have all your questions in by the 25th of November this month. You could submit them as YouTube comments, when this video is processed and we're out of the live stage. You could tweet at either of us. I personally, on my end, prefer DMs because they don't go anywhere. And I know some people have already DM'd me. Our Facebook page, when you stop by there, be sure to give a like on the page and you can inbox us there. Questions. So you have options. You have plenty of options. You can ask up to 5 questions. You don't have to ask 5 questions entirely. If you're just content with 1 or 2 or however many, that's fine. But your maximum is 5. You can divvy up those questions any way you choose. Could be all 5 for me, none for Ashton. It could be all 5 for both of us. Or you could divvy it up however. So be sure to get your questions in, guys. This latest Q&A was freaking crazy. Some very interesting questions that put a big smile on my face. So let's see what you guys got for this month. With that said, partner, I just want to ask you real quick because I know our schedule is a little different. When can our audience expect our NXT review?
NXT review will be up tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It won't be up. We'll be going live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. As far as time zones go, that would be noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific, or if you are in the UK, we're looking at 6 p.m. So that's what time we're going to be going live tomorrow with our NXT review. If you're looking forward to that, be sure to stay tuned. I'll also be tweeting about 15 minutes before we go live that we're about to go live in 15 minutes. So hopefully, if you don't remember, you're on Twitter around the time that we're about to go live, and you catch my tweet.
Great, partner. One more question I want to ask you. I hate to put you on the spot, but I am curious as well. We've got Cliff All in the chat asking, when is that Patreon review coming? So when can he expect that?
You know what? I think we're going to end up doing that. I want to give at least a week's notice. So I am going to say, I'm actually, you know what? John, are you cool with doing that next Thursday?
Next Thursday's fine with me, partner. Yeah, that's
right.
Great.
I guess that's going to be when it is. Next Thursday, and it'll be at 8, maybe 9. You know what? Just to play it safe, we're going to do that at 9 p.m. next Thursday on Eastern time. So again, that's 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Pacific, or if you're in the UK, it would be 2 a.m.
Yep, there you go, Cliff. That's when you're going to be getting that Patreon review. And yeah, he seems quite excited about it. All right, guys, this has been our Lucha Underground review. Scum Squad 444 life. And be sure to laugh at Cortez Castro on the way out. And until then, guys, tune in and peace out.